Hey guys, welcome back to the session 2 of our SQL series. If you're watching this, it means you successfully installed MSSQL Server and SSMS in session 1, or at least I hope you did. If not, pause, go back and get that done. I'll be here when you're ready. So, today, we're stepping into the magical world of databases and tables. If you've never worked with a database before, don't worry, this session is for total beginners. I'm gonna explain everything in the simplest way possible, so by the end of this video, you'll know what a database is, what a table is, how they work together, and how to create your very first database and table. So grab a snack, sit tidy, and let's jump in. But before that, our first question: what is a database? Alright, let's keep it super simple. A database is like a big digital filing cabinet. It's a place where you store information in an organized way so you can find it later. Imagine you're running a school. Congrats, Principal you. You need to store information about students, teachers, classes, and more. So instead of writing all that down on a paper or in a random Excel sheets, you use a database. It keeps everything neat, tidy, and easy access. So there is when tables come, and another questions jump up. What is a table? Now, inside this big database, you have tables, okay? Inside these big databases, or this big database, you will have a table. A table is like a single sheet in an Excel workbook, if you know anything about the Excel, okay? So if you know a small thing about Excel, you can imagine that a table is like a single sheet in an Excel workbook. It stores specific type of information. For example, one table might store students' info like their names, ages, and grades. Or another table might store teachers' information like the name of that teacher, the subjects, or the salaries of each teacher in your school. Okay? Yet another table might store classes' schedulers. Okay? So think of a table as mini organizers inside your big filing cabinet. Okay? Now, how does a table look? A table is made of two properties. It's not right that I'm saying properties. The table is made of two objects that you have to pay attention on: the rows and columns. So, what is a row? Inside a table, row is one record. For example, one row might be about a single student. So, what is a column? Or what are columns? These are the categories of data you're storing, like name, age, and grade of the students or the teachers. Sorry. So here's the visual. Okay. Now let's go to talk about how databases and tables work together. So now we know what actually a database is and what a table is. So let's think and know about how these databases and tables are working together in the real-world examples. Actually, a database is the container and the tables are the boxes inside the container. When you need something, you don't search the whole database. You just look in the right table. Okay, so without wasting time and just talking about them, let's dive in and see how we can actually doing them. Okay, so let's create our first database and table, and I mean, let's stop talking and start doing. So follow along with me in the data grid. So the first step is to create a database. How we can create a database? We have to open a new query console. So this is our default database that you see here. This is the master database, which is our default database. And right now, I want to create another database. I don't have to work with the default master database of our SQL server, and we're going to create another database, our custom database. So how we can do that? Right-click on the master database, or right-click on the master session that you have, go to the New tab and click on Query Console. With this, you can create a new query console, a console that you can run your SQL commands and do whatever you want using the SQL or SQL programming language and talk to a database. Okay, so here how we can create our query console or query consoles, and also you can use the shortcut keys on your keyboard, like with Control, Shift, and Q. So let's create a new query console. Here it is, and let's create our database. So I'm going to use this SQL command and write our first SQL command. I'm going to say create a database and the name of that database I want to create. So I'm going to use, for example, school semicolon, and right now I wrote my first SQL or SQL command. So if you want to execute this command, you can click on this icon, or you can click on Control Enter. These are the shortcut keys in Windows that you can execute your command. So let's execute this command and see what will happen. Like you see, create database school and complete it in 79 milliseconds. Awesome, congratulations, you just created a database called school. And right now you can see that we have actually created a new database called school. So if you pay attention here, we are now currently on the master database. That means we are using the schema of the master database, and all of the SQL statements or commands that we are writing here are going to be run in the master database, not on our school database that we have created right now. So how we can modify it? In the data group, we can click on the master and switch to school and write our commands. And right now, when we select the schema to the school database, all of the SQL statements that we are writing here are going to apply and make some changes and manipulate the school database, not the master default database. Okay, so that was the first way that we can do it, by switching between master and school using the GUI of or the graphical interface using data group. But if we want to use an SQL command or SQL statement to switch between our databases and run the commands on our specific needed database, we can use this command. We can use keyword in the name of our database schema, in this case school. I want to switch from master to school, and if I going to execute this command, you'll see here that the master has switched to school, and that's pretty awesome. Okay, now what we have to do, let's create our table. How we can create a table in our new database that we have created, school? How we can create a table? So now let's create a table for students. Okay, we create a database. We have created a database named school, and now let's create a table called students. Okay, so we can create a table in our databases using the create keyword and the table. So we are now going to talk to the database and tell the database using the SQL programming language that please go and create a table for me. And it says, okay, I'm going to create a table, but just give me the name of that table you want to create. And now I'm going to say, okay, I want the name of that table to be students, so I'm going to give it a name like students. And now I have to define the parameters that I want this table have. So I'm going to say I want to have a student ID and the type of this field, which is int, and I'm going to say that it should be a primary key. And so the student ID is now using this SQL command is a unique number for each student, like a roll number. And actually I need another field like first name, which is a var char, and I'm going to give it a limit like 50 characters. for a name of each student, and let's define a last name actually, which is going to be also var and with the limitation of 50 characters. Okay, and let's define an age field for our students, and it's actually a type of int. And now let's execute our command and see what will happen. So like you see here, this SQL command got executed and completed in 5 milliseconds without any errors, and actually it completed. So right now we have created our first table, which is have some properties, have some fields like student ID, a unique number for each student, first name and last name that stores the student's name, age, that is actually their age, and primary key, which ensures that every student ID is unique. We define primary key to ensure that every student's ID with the type of int is unique for each student. Now, how to see our table. So right now we cannot see it in the graphical way in the IntelliJ IDEA, and actually I'm going to tell you why we cannot see this right now, but let's go and check if our table exists, and we can do this by running this SQL command where we can say select all. The star is represented by all, so we can say select all or select star from students. Okay, now if I'm going to run this command, here you will see the table. We have this table called students, and there is the student ID, first name, last name, and the age columns. Okay, so we call student ID, first name, last name, and the age the columns of our table in our school database. Okay, since we haven't added any data yet, it's just show an empty table like you see here. Okay, but hey, process is progress. We're going to add some data and see the difference with the result. Okay, so let's recap of what we learned. Today, we covered what a database is, what a table is, and how to create both in IntelliJ IDEA using the MSSQL or SQL Server. In the next section, or in the next session, we'll start adding data to our table and learn more SQL commands to make it come alive. Make sure you try these steps yourself and don't just watch. Okay, so I think that it's enough for this session. I will see you in the next session, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying this series. And actually, happy coding!